Hello everyone, welcome to this session, and today we are going to continue the reading of our chapter number 4. In the previous session we read that how an old couple became rich and their pet has been killed by their neighbors. Then the dog came into the dreams of that old farmer and how they get more gold, and when the neighbors wanted to copy them they could not. Now let's read further. Not long after that, the good man dreamed again, and the spirit of the dog spoke to him, telling him how the wicked people had burned the mill made from the pine tree. Now, once again, that farmer had a dream of that dog, where the dog told him that the neighbors had burned the mill that was made from the pine tree. And the dog told him now what the farmer had to do. Take the ashes of the mill, sprinkle them on the withered trees, and they will bloom again, said the dog spirit. And the spirit of the dog told him that to take the ashes from their home and sprinkle on the withered trees. Now withered trees are those trees which have no flowers over them and they are dried. And when you will sprinkle it, they will bloom again. The old man awoke and went at once to his wicked neighbor's house, where he found the miserable old pair sitting at the edge of their square fireplace in the middle of the floor, smoking and spinning. The old farmer get up and went at their place at once. Now we have understood the meaning of at once in our chapter number 3, Gopal and Hilsa Fish, that at once means immediately. So the old man get up and went immediately to their home, where he saw that his neighbors were sitting near the fireplace and spinning the wood. From time to time they warmed their hands and feet with the blaze from some bits of the mill, while behind them lay a pile of the broken pieces. So some of the pieces of the mill they have burnt and some are lying behind. So he can see that clearly. Then that good man, what he did, the good old man humbly asked for the ashes. Though the covetous couple turned up their noses at him and scolded him as if he were a thief, they let him fill his basket with the ashes. Now we have learned that meaning of covetous is greedy. So when that old farmer asked very humbly for the ashes, they just gave them a very rude reply and scolded him as if he were a thief and tell him to collect the ashes from there. On coming home, the old man took his wife into the garden. It being winter, their favorite cherry tree was bare. He sprinkled a pinch of ashes on it and it sprouted blossoms until it became a cloud of pink blooms which perfumed the air. The news of this filled the village and everyone ran out to see the wonder. So what happened, that old farmer came home and took his wife with him. He sprinkled a little ash on the tree and it bloomed, which actually surprised the whole village. The covetous couple, means the greedy couple, also heard the story and gathering up the remaining ashes of the mill, kept them to make withered trees blossom. Now, what did the greedy couple do? When they heard the story, they started collecting the remaining ash at their home so that they can also make their trees bloom. The kind old man, hearing that his lord, the daimyo, was to pass along the high road near the village, set out to see him, taking his basket of ashes. As the train approached, he climbed up into an old withered cherry tree that stood by the wayside. Just then, the old farmer came to know that the daimyo is about to pass from their town. And what he did, he took the basket of the ash with him and climbed upon the withered tree of cherry, from where the daimyo had to pass. Now, in the days of the daimyos, it was the custom when their lord passed by for all the loyal people to shut up their high windows, They even pasted them fast with a slip of paper so as not to commit the impertinence of looking down on his lordship. All the people along the road will fall upon their hands and knees and remain prostrate until the procession passed by. Now, in those times, what happens when very wealthy landowners or some kings pass by the town, all the people living there shut their windows or cover them with paper so that no one could see them, and the people in the way always bent down on their knees. Let's read further. The train drew near. Here, the train is the procession, means the daimyo and his men. One tall, competent man marched ahead, crying out to the people by the way, "Get down on your knees, get down on your knees," and everyone kneeled down while the procession was passing. So, one man out of his train came forward and asked everyone to kneel down. Suddenly, the leader of the van caught sight of the aged man up in the tree. He was about to call out to him in an angry tone, but seeing he was such an old fellow, he pretended not to notice him and passed him by. So, we read that the old man climbed upon the withered cherry tree. When the van was passing from there, but the leader of the van ignored him because he thought that he was very old person. So when the daimyo's palanquin drew near, the old man took a pinch of ashes from his basket, scattered it over the tree. In a moment, it burst into blossom. So palanquin is the van or the royal van of the kings or these landowners. So when he was about to pass, what the old man did, he just sprinkled the ashes which bloomed the trees. The delighted daimyo ordered the train to be stopped and got out to see the wonder. And daimyo got delighted and ordered the train that to go out and look at what is happening and how it happened. So calling the old man to him, he thanked him and ordered presents of silk robes, sponge cake, fans and other rewards to be given him. He even invited him to his castle. So the old man went gleefully home to share his joy with his dear old wife. Now, gleefully is happy. So the old man went home happily after receiving gifts and rewards from the daimyo, and he wanted to share this joy with his wife. But when the greedy neighbor heard of it, he took some of the magic ashes and went out on the highway. Now again, what greedy neighbor did? He took those ashes and went out on the highway that I will also impress the king and get so many rewards and gifts. So there he waited until a daimyo's train came along, and instead of kneeling down like the crowd, he climbed a withered cherry tree. He did the same thing. He climbed upon the withered cherry tree. When the daimyo himself was almost directly under him, he threw a handful of ashes over the tree, which did not change a particle. He threw the ashes and the ashes remained ashes, they didn't bloom the tree. The wind blew the fine dust in the noses and eyes of the daimyo and his wife. Such sneezing and choking. It spoiled all the pomp and dignity of the procession. The man, whose business it was to cry, "Get down on your knees," seized the old fool by the collar, dragged him from the tree, and tumbled him and his ash basket into the ditch by the road. Then, beating him soundly, he left him for dead. Thus, the wicked old man died in the mud, but the kind friend of the dog dwelt in peace and plenty, and both he and his wife lived to a green old age. So the men of the daimyo beat the old man very badly and left him to die, and the greedy person died there. And that honest farmer and his wife lived happily ever after. So what do we learn from this story? That we should do everything with a pure heart, as what goes around comes around. If you serve someone good, the good will come to you, and if you serve bad to someone, then bad will come to you.